Hi, I'm Corey, and this is Orcs, Conquerors of Elves and Men. It's a new 3rd edition guide, and you won't believe it, but this is the 7th of 9 guides that we'll be doing. Old Orcs have always been one of my favorite clans, and you know, as I've updated Dwarves and Norn and Paladins and all these different war clans, I try to push them all in different directions. So if you've been playing these guys from the printed guide, they've gotten a little vanilla in comparison. But when you're ready to move on to a new 76-page guide, you can toss that one. There are so many changes and so many updates. It's a completely new book. There's 14 different warrior types in the new Orc book. The history of the Orcs is not changing. And Elf decided, why am I sitting in the background? I would be a god among men. And so there were 200 of these watchers, elves, who broke from not only tradition, but duty, and they set themselves up as minor gods.
Elves and humans are incapable of creating offspring, except for a grotesque blood ritual that made the little monstrosities.
Ultimately, they become the greatest soldiers perdition has ever known. To give the Orcs all the cool things that I wanted to give them, I had to take some things away as well. They're all going to be about a 2 agility on average, and not a big deal because when they shoot with their great composite bows, instead of getting 1 attack die, they're going to get 1 attack die. But you'll see some of the things that I've done to them makes up for that. Psyche was a big change. They're almost all 1 psyche now. I went full-on psychopath with the Orcs now. Orcs are the most callous, compassionless, death-defying creatures in perdition, and no matter what their level, no matter what their ability score is, they only fail route feats on 1. If you're stocky like a dwarf or an orc, you're going to be a little slower. Before you panic and go, oh my god, what am I going to do with 5 speeds on everybody? I'm going to lose all these attacks. And don't panic. Orcs have some of the best abilities ever. Again, they're going to become these ultimate soldiers, so trust me, it's going to work. Almost every orc will have a proficiency in all expert skills. First, that won't sink in. Normally on a single, you can get any basic skill plus any basic orc skill. If you are proficient in strength like most orcs, you could get expert skills in strength as well. But having a proficiency in all expert skills means we open up everything. And so now you can start to see why things like a 5 speed or a 2 agility don't matter. If I'm using a composite bow and I have a 2 agility, now I'm going to be able to get keen aim on a singles and now add +2 to damage instantly like that. I don't have to rely on Dryad Slayer arrows or something like that. If I'm a Reaver and I want to get multiple attacks, then I'm going to be able to take things like the Blade skill for a singles and attack with a scimitar in each hand. Now Tireless is also moved down to a single skill, so you can sprint without being tired and move it to 10. I was talking to a buddy the other night who's been helping me play test, and he's like, I didn't really realize how powerful having access to all those expert skills was going to be, but now it's almost a nightmare. When my guy's level, I have so many choices, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to make a mistake. And it's like, there is no mistake, you know. If you're having fun, it's working. We're going to start by talking about the freebooters, which are the basic orc, and now they're only going to cost 6 gold pieces each. And you're probably wondering, okay, what am I doing? They're, 5 defense, 3 strength, but now they're only at 2 agility, at a 1 psyche, at a 5 speed. Worthless, right? It's like, no. Rather than withdraw, they now have a skill called Steppe Archer. Mongols, what made them so successful was the mounts. And I don't know if you've played the new 3rd edition Paladins, where I kind of force people to get on horses. You've probably started to see what a big deal having all that mobility and the extra attacks from trample and that kind of stuff bring to your Paladins. The Orcs are going to utilize that even better. They're lightly armored and they're fast, so they're going to be moving around very quickly. And what Steppe Archer does is whenever I'm mounted, I can now be a sharpshooter. And a sharpshooter, it means I always roll 2 attack dice. So I no longer care about the fact that I'm only at 2 agility. Doesn't matter. I'm always treated as being more agile than foes. And then the other end of it is, because I have that access to expert skills, now I can get keen aim and marksman and zero in and clout and a bunch of others for just a single skill and just make my guys the ultimate mounted archers. It's a subtle thing, but people tend to move up to your horses and tie them up in melee so that you can't use those deadly bows. Now with the Steppe Archer skill, you can shoot somebody on foot while they're in melee with you. Orcs are going to be probably the best fighters you can imagine while mounted. So there's a balancing act, right? The freebooters are there and they're cheap because you're going to want to buy more expensive things like warlords and reavers and ogres and the new bloodletter and some things that you don't even know about. We'll do those in video 2. But because you're going to want those things, I had to keep the cost of the freebooters very cheap so that you could fill in, and when you're creating a new clan, you can standard that 72 gold threshold for your 6 warriors. I could talk about orcs for hours and hours, so we're going to make this into a series, and part 2, we're going to start to talk about some of those other warrior types, and I think you're going to love it. So thanks for watching, and be sure to check out part 2.